What's up, guys? Welcome to the Christian&Cowboy Podcast. This is kind of weird to be saying that because this is the first episode of the podcast that we've actually had it. Christian and Cowboy, actually, our title. I actually had a title for the podcast. Cowboy, how you doing today?
I'm good, son. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I got to see that's actually the first thing I want to talk about. I got to see Avengers Endgame on, let's see, when was it? It was Thursday night. So
Right.
okay, spoilers ahead. I have the time in the description of when the spoiler talk will be over, okay? I will have that so that way if you haven't seen it, skip ahead. Okay. So, hold on. There's one more person in the room real quick and she has to get out. So, one moment. Alright, so.
So you got to see it opening night, huh?
Yes, it was amazing.
Was the theater full every seat?
Oh, it was. I don't know how if it wasn't. I'm pretty sure it was though. I saw. I think it was the second showing because the first showing was at 6, and we went to the 6:15 with me and a couple of my buddies.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked about it. What'd you think?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I almost cried. That's how good it was. Dude.
At what part? At the end, or?
Yes, when they were having that dang funeral, dude. Oh my gosh, I was so sad.
You're right. Well, it's pretty rough. I mean, those movies have been around for a long time. And, I don't know. I thought it was.
It was hilarious at times too, though. That's what I loved about it. It was at times it was like the funniest thing you've ever seen, and at times it was like the saddest thing ever.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen it. I mean, I'm not like you. I go ahead and read about them. I'm a spoiler guy. It seemed odd in the way they resolved it at the end, who they ended up killing off. I thought a little bit.
I don't know what was funnier, Professor Hulk or Fat Thor, because they were both hilarious.
I've heard a lot of it, this fat Thor thing. What is he literally fat?
So what happens is they go to that thing where it says, so after Thor cuts Thanos' head off, they go to this thing that says 5 years later, and eventually Hulk and Rocket go to, quote, New Asgard. You know how Asgard got destroyed in Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
And they go find Thor, and all Thor has done, like since the snap or since he did that thing where he cut Thanos' head off. Literally all he's done, he's got beer all over his house. He's got whiskey he's got all sorts of alcohol everywhere. And Meek and Korg are there and they're playing Fortnite. It's actually hilarious. And he's got like this huge beer belly, and he sees Hulk and Rock. He's like, "Boys, I haven't seen you in so long." It's so funny.
Right. And then Hulk is he's like a combo of Banner and Hulk, right?
Yeah, so apparently what he said 18 months in the Gamma Lab. I said, why not combine the best of both worlds? So he basically just combined Hulk and Banner into one person. So the only reason I know it's Professor Hulk is because I've heard that was like a thing in the comics.
Yeah.
So, but.
Well, I haven't heard anybody say they didn't like it.
I loved it. It was, it was amazing. When probably the part of the movie when the theater was loudest was when Cap lifted Thor's hammer. I always forget how to say it. I think it's Mjolnir. When he lifted that thing, I went nuts and the whole theater went nuts. That was awesome. He started spinning it and then he freaking knocked the crap out of Thanos. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of some other parts in the movie. But yeah, Hulk is sitting there. They made a lot of references to movies that deal with time travel, which I thought was funny. Especially Back to the Future. And there's one part where Ant-Man says something like, "Oh, we can just follow the rules of time travel. Just no contact with our past selves, no betting on sporting events." And Iron Man goes, I'm gonna pretend like you didn't just use your plan for saving the universe, that you didn't just base it off Back to the Future.
Right. I hadn't heard about that part of it.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
I would think it would be hard to follow if you hadn't seen all those other movies. The way they keep going back to those old scenes and everything.
And there's certain lines in it that they reference other movies. Like if you've seen all the MCU movies, you'll get it. Like that part where Captain America has to fight himself is hilarious.
That's what I mean, though. If the people that hadn't seen them, which I don't know why you get to see this, you hadn't seen them all.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well,
but yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'll get around to seeing it eventually, I guess.
He goes, the Cap from 2012. He hits him like once with the shield, and he's like, "I can do this all day." And then current Cap's like, "Yeah, I know." It was funny. He's like, "Yeah, I know." There's one part where I'm kind of trying to focus on the happy moments because it is a lot of it's like really, really sad. But Iron Man's all like, "Oh my goodness, Mr. Rogers, I forgot that this suit did absolutely nothing for your ass." And then Ant-Man goes, "I think you look great, Cap. As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass." and then after Cap, he actually, you remember that scepter from the first Avengers that Loki used to mind control people? That's what he beat his past self with. He just put it on his past self's chest, and he just falls face down. So as current Cap is leaving, he looks and he's like, "That is America's ass," and then he just walks off.
So they basically just go back and get all those stones.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but they had to go back to freaking Vormir, and there's Red Skull. He's like, "You have to have a sacrifice," and I'm like, as soon as he said that, I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh yeah.
I was like, I forgot all about that.
So that's basically it. Black Widow and Tony's the only ones that died in, right?
Yeah, and Cap is basically.
Yeah, goes back to the 70s or something.
And then he just stays. They said so. Basically, what happened was, when he goes back to put the stones where he found them.
Yeah.
He stays in the past and lives and marries Peggy.
Right.
You know, and then he comes back and he's an old man. And no joke, he looks like Joe Biden. He looks just like Joe Biden. It's not even funny.
Okay.
But yeah, it was pretty cool. And he ends up passing the shield to Falcon. So I thought that was really cool.
See, I read that doesn't make any sense. It should be Bucky.
Yeah, well, you see, I think it should be. I would rather it be that, but I don't mind Falcon. I would rather it be Bucky. But apparently, in the comics, it was Captain America was Bucky at one point, but he was also Falcon at one point.
Okay.
Falcon was Captain America at one point also.
I didn't know that. It definitely was Bucky at one point. But I didn't know Falcon became into it. They do so many stupid things in those comic books, you can't keep up with it all. Mm-hmm. But, well, so you're going to go again with your mother, right?
Yes, probably this Friday.
Okay. So
say.
3 hours? You had to get up and go to the bathroom?
So, yeah, about that. So, right before the movie started, I was like, yes! Because I felt the urge that I had to go, and I was like, let's go! Right as the movie, literally, maybe 2 previews were left. I go, let's go! And I just get out, go to the bathroom, come back out of the movie theater. I still had to go, but it wasn't like I was dying or anything. I still had to go when the movie was over. I wasn't like dying or anything.
3 hours is a haul, man. I can't recall.
What I loved about it was that it goes so fast and so much is happening. It doesn't even feel like 3 hours.
I'm honestly surprised how little I've heard about Captain Marvel. She didn't really do much.
She really didn't. So she was in that first part before that said 5 years later.
Yeah.
And then she didn't really come back until that fight scene with Thanos. And
I mean,
so what happens is so Thanos is basically, or Scarlet Witch is, taking care of Thanos, and then all of a sudden Thanos says, "Rain fire, I don't care what'll happen." He tells his ship to just shoot at everyone. And then all of a sudden, you just see this orange, glare, and it's just boom, just destroys his ship.
Yeah.
And you see it's Captain Marvel.
Right.
And then she and him kind of have a little fight scene, and then obviously, all that other stuff happens. But yeah, that when probably my second favorite part besides Cap lifting the hammer was when Cap was about to face Thanos' entire army by himself, because he was prepared to. You could see he was just standing there, and then all of a sudden, you can hear through his ear. It says, "Cap, this is Sam. Can you hear me?" And he goes, "On your left."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then everyone starts coming back.
Oh, yeah.
So.
All right, so that's a pretty good review.
All right, so 11-minute mark.
You told me a few more things that I hadn't heard, so that's good.
All right, so we are a week removed from the Predators' debacle in the first round, losing to the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, it was that.
The Stars and the Blues played last night in Game 3. That was actually a really good game. They traded like 4 goals in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and this Blues won 4-3, so they got a 2-1 series lead right now. But what I thought was interesting is what you texted me last night. This is the first time the Preds haven't been playing May hockey since like 2015, I think it was, when we lost to the Blackhawks in the first round.
Yeah.
Which I think is a sign of improvement. I honestly am happy with that. Because if you think about where this franchise was, say, 10 years ago, we were losing it. If we even made the playoffs, we were losing in the first round.
No, you're right. I mean, there for a while we were a lot like Columbus. I mean, it was year after year first round exits. Usually San Jose, and then for a while Chicago had her number. So, I got to look at. The night that when they closed us out, I sent you a text. They just need to blow the franchise up, and I said that in anger. I don't know if that's what they need to do or not, but I'll say this: I got to look at today at the teams in the league and the age of the teams. Mm-hmm. Do you know how old that Preds team is?
What, like average age?
Yeah. And really, this doesn't mean much to me, but their average age. And this was probably opening day, so I don't know what it is now.
What's their average age?
Average age is 27.8 years of age. That is the 8th oldest team in the league.
I'm surprised that's 8th oldest. I figured that'd be even more old.
Well, and I mean, there's a lot, like in Dallas, their roster was the exact same. But you take a team like Winnipeg, it's 25.8. They're the second youngest team in the league. Mm-hmm. So I think you're getting into a deal where a lot of these guys, they're running out of time in the prime of their careers. Subban in particular is getting older. I don't know that for a while now, I don't know if you could depend on Rene at all. It wasn't his fault this year at all. I mean, at all. There wasn't nothing he could do in at least 2 of those games, and probably 3 of the 4 losses. But, last year, he killed us against Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
The year before, he was awful in 3 of the 4 Pittsburgh losses. I just don't. And I mean, he's 33 years old. I think he will be next year. So
time's running out on his career for sure.
And it's the same old crap every year. They just don't score enough goals. Mm-hmm. And you think they've got the kind of team that used to always win Stanley Cups. Defense. But what we've seen 2 years in a row now is
it's the complete opposite.
And at least in the series that they've lost in Winnipeg and Dallas, it's the 2 teams that just skated circles around. They just had better skilled players.
And they know how to put the puck in the net.
Yeah. If you take Forsberg out of the equation, who's really not blossomed to the guy that we thought he would be, he's a great player. I mean, I'd say I don't know if he's top 10 in the league, but he's certainly top 20. But he's not turning into the superstar. And if you take him out, they don't have anybody that's dynamic on that team offensively.
That was half the problem in this Dallas. The top line produced absolutely nothing.
And they never do. They never
Are you talking playoffs or regular season?
I'm talking about all the time. I mean, this year anyway. I mean, they swept.
Yeah, they were pretty. I mean, last year every night they got at least one goal from that line. This year it wasn't near as good, but it wasn't like bad necessarily though. But in the playoffs, you heard nothing from them.
Well, I mean, last year they won the President's Cup, so obviously they were better. But I mean, this year they almost reminded me of Golden State, and that it's almost like they said, well, we don't need to. We need to save our energy for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And it backfired on them.
I don't know if it did or not, but they just didn't look ready all season long. And I don't know. I mean, that front office every year at the trade deadline makes moves to improve that. They've done everything in the world to help that roster, and at this point, it's on the players.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, the fan support's there. The city embraces that team. There's not a louder arena in the league. It's on the players.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to produce, and they're running out of time.
Yeah, for sure. I was about to say something. Oh, yeah, what really made me mad is in the post game, Willie Donnet, Chris Mason, and Terry Crisp were doing the post game, and I don't remember who said it, but it just made me so mad at the time. They said something about, you gotta love the fight of this Predators team. It didn't end the way we wanted it to, but they showed great fight and resolve. And I was like, one, this sounds just like Butch Jones.
It does. They're always making excuses.
Two, it's not like this is a wild card team that just snuck in the playoffs. This is the Central Division champions they're saying that crap about.
Yeah, I know. If they were an 8 seed...
There's no moral victories for the Central Division champions in the playoffs.
No. Especially, it'd be one thing if you lost in 7 games in a heartbreak.
Yeah.
But they got outplayed every single game. They should have got swept.
Yeah. I think that's what they were... I think they were talking about overtime, but still.
Yeah.
It's the Central Division champions. There's no moral victories there.
No, I mean, the path was paved in gold for them, man, with all these upsets.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have to play Winnipeg. I mean, it was there.
I still think we would have lost to St. Louis, but...
Well, probably, but, I mean, you know...
Beats losing in the freaking first round to Dallas. And could you think of the... Can you imagine the scene it would have been down there in Nashville if you would have had the Preds in the playoffs and the NFL draft going on at the same time?
Well, I don't know how much more crazy it could have been down there, but it would have been fun. But, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, you might say we'd lost to St. Louis, maybe. But I'd rather have to play them than Winnipeg each day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a better draw, sort of like Tennessee last year in basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you get Loyola, you beat them, well, it's a guaranteed Final Four trip, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They'll rarely have an easier path to the finals than they would have had this year.
Yeah.
It probably never will. But every year is different. Hockey, I've said a million times, and I really believe this, is as much luck as anything. It's a 50-50 game. It's not like basketball. It's why you have so many upsets.
It's almost like this year it was too much luck.
But every playoffs you see this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Where these 8 seeds win these stupid series. And I mean, it's
and
fun.
In the NBA, it's the exact opposite.
It never happens. And the reason why is because hockey's a luck game. That puck bouncing around all over the place out there. Half the time when this guy scores, it's pure luck. I really believe that. It's a fun game, but it's a luck game. Now, I ain't never played it. I don't know anything about it. I'm probably talking under my butt here. That's how it looks to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the draft, we can move on to the next subject at hand.
Real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
I'll give a couple score updates. Right now, it's Blue Jackets 2, Bruins 1 with 15:28 to go in the third period.
Yeah.
And it's 59-55 Bucks at halftime over the Celtics.
All right.
But yes, let's talk about the NFL draft. Obviously,
which you happen to have attended.
Yes, obviously you guys saw that I went to the draft on Friday. And it was a freaking madhouse down there. And especially, I can't even imagine what it would have been like Thursday. Friday was crazy enough, but Thursday,
Well, I tell
I
you
can't
this,
believe we got as close as we did. Honestly,
on TV, it didn't look any different at all in terms of people.
Mm-hmm.
Which I couldn't believe, because I remember because I always feel bad. I'm not there at home to take you things like this. I always feel guilty, Kyle. I always told you that.
Mm-hmm.
But I told you, I said, well, shoot, honey, we wouldn't have seen anything. And plus it poured the rain Thursday down there. I think it would have been miserable.
Well, they had TVs everywhere down there.
Well, right, I understand.
Like, you could hear the sound, like, pretty much, you know how they had the stage at, like, the end of Broadway?
Yeah,
you could still hear what was going on down there pretty much all the way up to Bridgestone.
But, like, where did you go to the bathroom or anything?
To go to the like, one time we went in, I think it was Jimmy Buffett's restaurant to go in the bathroom one time.
Yeah.
They had to give us a stamp and everything just so we could go to the bathroom. Like, we weren't even going to eat anything.
I don't blame them. I'm surprised they let you do it, honestly.
But I think there were some places that they had porta potties and stuff. But
so when you told me that y'all were going Friday, I thought, well, it surely won't be anywhere near as crowded since the second, third round. Not as many. And didn't look any different.
It didn't seem different either.
And it didn't on Saturday. This was like 200,000 people down there. And I'm like, I don't know where they parked all these people. I can't even imagine where they were putting all the cars down there.
Man, when we got A.J. Brown, I went nuts. I probably wouldn't have gone that crazy if I was at home watching it when we got him. But just because I was there, I was really excited. And then we got some guard from Charlotte I'd never heard of, but apparently he's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. They picked lineman. I don't know what to think about that. I think Brown's a good pick too. And he's probably the best receiver in the draft. If the Titans will use him, I've thought that about a lot of guys they've taken a wide receiver over the years, and that's worthless offense they run. But if he can't make it, I don't know if they'll ever have a good one. But their draft was good, except the problem, of course, is Simmons ain't gonna get to play this year. So that's your first round pick is going to be on the shelf for the whole year. But now
the whole year for sure.
He tore his ACL in December. Right?
Well, I thought it was like February he did.
No.
Well, still.
Well, even worse. It was recent enough he won't play this year. No way. That's a year-long injury. But having said that, had he not done that, he'd probably went 5th or 6th. Mm-hmm. So they get a guy that's a top 5 talent at 18, and so that's pretty good value. I mean, most people thought he was probably the best defensive. He was right there with Bosa and the kid from Bama, whatever his name was, Williams or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's a gamble, and you lose out a year, but he's young. He's only 21, so they had a good draft.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think they did too. I thought one of the most fun things to do was when the Patriots pick got up there before they picked Jawan Williams. Me and everyone around we were just booing as loud as we possibly could. Like there was this one dude who started a F Tom Brady chant.
You're kidding.
No,
how'd your mother feel about that one?
She actually didn't care, which I was actually surprised by.
Yeah, me too. I don't really understand how Jawan. I mean, it seems to me he's the kind of guy that would win high.
Oh yeah, they were saying he could have gone first round down here.
I don't see how he would. I mean, he's a huge kid who can play press coverage against those big wide receivers in that league now.
Yeah, that's the main thing about him is how big he is. I was looking, and I think he was like a 4-star coming out of high school. He played at Father Ryan, and I'm pretty sure he turned down like Tennessee, Kentucky, a lot of those SEC schools to go to Vandy.
Tennessee wanted it bad. I mean, Bama, everybody did. And I think his mother teaches at Vandy or something like that, doesn't she?
Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me if she did.
I'm pretty sure that's why they got him. But now the Patriots had a great draft, like they always do. Mm-hmm. They always get guys like that. He'll play for them for a long time if he stays healthy.
It was pretty cool. I got to see Al Wilson, too. do.
How close were you to him?
We were about where game day was.
Oh, okay.
So
That's cool.
Yeah, you remember where they were, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw the pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, and he gave like 2 picks right in a row, I think. So yeah,
well,
it was a lot of fun.
I'm really glad you got to experience that. That's great that it got together in Nashville. I think.
Yeah, a lot of people.
They got a lot of people's attention about what kind of city Nashville is. There are people saying maybe Nashville ought to get a Super Bowl, which will never happen in that crappy stadium.
I don't think. Yeah. On 104.5 Thursday morning, they said, chances Titans ever get a Super Bowl, and they said none, 0% whatsoever. It will never happen unless we get a new stadium. That's what they said.
They'll have to rebuild that.
They would either have to have a really, really, really nice stadium, or they'd have to have an indoor stadium.
Well, I think they'd get away with not having a roof, but they got the stadium's just a crap hole. That's not good the way it's designed. But they'll end up building a new one sooner or later. What I'd like to see happen, the way that city's grown, and they talked about this for years, is you might potentially get to a deal where they get a major league team, baseball team, maybe.
They've been talking about it down here. I mean, it's not very much talk, but there's talk.
It's been on the fringe of conversation for a while, and I think people are now kind of seeing that maybe that's something that's feasible. You could take either one of those Florida teams and move them the hell out of there. The Marlins.
Especially the Marlins. No one cares about baseball in Miami.
No, they don't. Tampa Bay either. I mean, and that's something that could happen.
Well, I don't think they're going to move Tampa Bay anytime soon. Can you believe that they're like first in the East?
Well, they got good pitching.
They've only lost like 9 games.
They got the arms. If you can pitch, you can win. Everybody can score runs. I've told you that before.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pitching, from what I've heard, that's why Tennessee baseball is on track right now to host a regional.
It is. Now, people are putting the cart before the horse a little bit on that because they got swept in Arkansas this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I was listening to Reed's Ranch, and that podcast they recorded was prior to the Arkansas series, so that's probably
that didn't kill the dream, but now they can't have that happen anymore.
I mean, they're for sure making a tournament, right?
NCAA. Unless they totally collapse, yeah, they're pretty much in. Their RPI is really high.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're good, dude. I mean, they swept Georgia.
I thought they won 2 out of 3 against Georgia.
No, they swept them.
Really? I know they swept Kentucky.
No, you're right. Georgia did win that rubber game.
Okay.
I'm wrong about that. But either way, at the time, Georgia was 4th in the country. They won a game from Vandy, which they usually do. But their pitching staff's unbelievable. Now they got hit around a lot against Arkansas, but they tend to do that to people. Arkansas might be the best team in the league, even over Vandy, maybe. But they've got a. I wasn't sure because early in the year they're playing those non-conference games. You just don't know, but they've been competitive in every series they've played. And if they can make the tournament, they've got the kind of pitching depth that they could make some noise and maybe get to Omaha, believe it or not. I really think it's possible.
Well, this is Tennessee athletics we're talking about here.
True.
So.
True. I'm sure something will go wrong. There's no doubt about it.
Especially since it's a sport like baseball, where you got to have a ton of things go your way.
Well, you do, but when you got that kind of pitching depth, you can have things go your way. And they've got 9 or 10 kids that they can go out there and make pitches for them, and they've just not had that in 15 years. That's why they had the worst program in the league. For certainly as long as you've been alive. So it's impressive. They're going to have to. What they paid Rick Barnes, they're going to have to pay this baseball coach. Now, of course, it won't be anywhere near that.
This is supposed to be like, if they make the tournament this year, it's like the first time since 2005, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Nearly 20 years. So.
All right, what were you gonna say?
I never thought I'd see the day. In fact, I flat out can't believe this. But Tennessee's paying their basketball coach more than the football coach. By $1.5 million.
You know what? It's just like what Seth said. I know I keep referencing them, but Jeremy, if you want to get paid more than the basketball coach, there's a game we play every year that's usually the first conference game that's in September.
Well,
win that game, then you'll get paid more than the basketball coach.
He's right about that. And he's only been on the job 1 year. And I understand all that. But that's not even the point. It's just in terms of how things are prioritized down there. There was a day when that wouldn't have happened no matter what. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have mattered if you were coaching. They're not going to pay the basketball coach more than football down there. It just didn't happen. No, it didn't. No. Flat out, they would have told Barnes to hit the road. In fact, that's what Fulmer wanted him to do. He wasn't going to pay it. And the school president stepped in and made it happen.
Isn't the interim president like Randy Boyd or something?
Yeah, it's Randy Boyd.
Didn't he run for governor?
He did run for governor, and he's a pretty good man. All things considered, I'm probably glad that Barnes stayed just for stability's sake. But man, I just can't believe they're paying him that much money for a guy that ain't done nothing really.
I mean, if he would have made the Sweet 16 last year, maybe you pay him that kind of money. But
he's making more than about anybody in the country besides something. I mean, he's making more than. Only coaches that make more are people like Calipari and Krzyzewski and Jay Wright. He's like the fifth most highest paid coach in the country.
What about Roy Williams from UNC?
He definitely makes more
than Barnes.
Yeah.
What about Izzo?
It's a short list now.
What about Izzo?
I bet it's close.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Man, okay, you know who if Barnes ended up leaving, if we would have hired Greg Marshall somehow.
Well, and see, here's the thing, and that's what last time we did this, that's what I said. We wouldn't. So that's what kills me.
True. Fulmer wouldn't have paid. He wouldn't have had enough. He wouldn't have paid enough money for him. We would have hired some Chattanooga's coach or something.
Yeah, we're willing to pay Rick Barnes $5 million, but we wouldn't pay Greg Marshall $5 million. He's much more accomplished and a million times better coach. That's how we do things down there. Stupid ass things. That's why we lose.
Have you ever seen his wife?
Who's?
Greg Marshall's.
No.
She's freaking nuts.
Huh?
She's nuts.
She's nuts.
She screams the whole game. Like apparently she had to. You remember that when they played Kentucky in the tournament?
Yeah.
That one year? Apparently security had to remove her from the game because she was yelling at all the Kentucky players.
No, I don't remember. I never heard anything about that.
Oh, poor Harrison twins. What'd you think of the Knights blowing a 3-1 lead to the Sharks?
Man, that was crazy, wasn't it? Did you see that when that was happening? Were you watching that game?
No. So here's what happened. That power play happened like right in the third period, right when the third period started. So
no, it wasn't. It was 5 minutes to go in the game.
That's not how I don't even remember, to be honest. I don't remember why, but I wasn't watching it because I think the score was 3-0 Vegas. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I think I just kind of turned it off and went and did homework or something else and didn't. No, I had it on my phone because Mom was watching something and I didn't feel like going back in the other room to watch it. So I was watching on my phone. It was 3-0 Vegas. I was like, whatever, this game's over. Went and took a shower. I was about to go to bed. I checked the score one more time just to be sure. It says 4-3 San Jose. I'm like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then I saw that they scored like 4 goals on a major penalty. And the league released a statement that said that was the wrong call too.
It was.
I think it was too. It wasn't a wrong call that it was a penalty. It was a wrong call that it was a 5-minute major.
It was a 2-minute minor is all it was for forecheck, if that. The guy goes down, starts bleeding, and then the refs lost their composure. And it was a 3-0 game, so they figured it wouldn't make no difference.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, did it make a difference.
Oh, for sure.
Because Marc-Andre Fleury totally lost its composure, and really that whole Knights team did. Watching that, I didn't know anything about it the next morning. Watching the highlights of that was crazy. I mean, it's hard to believe it was happening. It really was. But, man, they'll never live that down. I mean, you talk about a choke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. They should have won not even that. Game 6, too. I was watching Game 6 live. Second overtime. Vegas is on a power play. San Jose is like, okay, you're just not going to play defense. And they score on a shorthanded goal in overtime to force Game 7.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, man.
Well, don't follow NBA, so we're probably running out of time here. So give me your take on what's going on there.
Let's see. None of the series were worth watching except Spurs Nuggets. That was the only series worth watching.
What about the series going on now? What do you think is going to happen? How is it going to shake out?
Here, hold on. Let me look at the bracket. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Golden State, Houston. Golden State won Game 1, but I mean that series I feel like can still go either way.
Houston's a bunch of whining crybabies.
Yeah, did you end up seeing that where they were whining about a bunch of calls?
Which Warriors do too. But man, I'm just shooting threes every time down the court.
That's the problem with the NBA. Every possession's a three.
It's awful basketball. Awful. I don't know what they can do about it, honestly. But it's a joke, if you ask me.
Portland is playing Denver right now. I think Denver won last night, so
they did.
These are still one game into most of these series, so still anything can happen. But one thing I did see, I didn't get to see it live, but did you see Damian Lillard's buzzer beater that he hit against the Thunder?
I saw the highlights just like everybody else in the world did. That was crazy, wasn't it?
It was a horrible shot.
I don't know, man. He made everything throw up that night.
Oh, I didn't watch the highlights of the entire game, but he had like 50 that night, didn't he?
Yeah, he was unstoppable.
So he was basically Ryan Klein.
Yeah, it was pretty much just like that.
Oh,
I mean, it was crazy. He had 35 at halftime.
Kid who's never gonna play basketball again in his life. Just lights us up.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
The life of a Tennessee fan. Something always goes wrong. Anyway.
It has been since you've been alive, that's for sure.
So it's not Fulmer's fault. It's my fault.
I think it is. I think you're the blame.
I'm the curse.
Curse of Christian.
The curse of Christian, not the curse of Fulmer.
No.
Let's see here. So Milwaukee swept the Pistons, and they're playing Boston right now.
Boston spanked that behind in Sunday.
Oh yeah, they did. Let me see what the score is right now. It is 78-71 Milwaukee in the third quarter right now. So and they just hit a 3, so it's 81-71 Milwaukee. I mean, I feel like that's going to be a pretty good series. I'm thinking that's probably going to be the best series of the second round.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Because I mean, it was a great series last year, so pretty much the same teams coming back to my knowledge. So I don't see why it wouldn't be a good series again this year. So Philly's playing Toronto. That series is tied at 1. Philly pretty much just killed them in game 1, and then it was the opposite. No. It was the opposite. Toronto pretty much killed them in game 1, and then Philly won game 2.
Yeah. I think that's going 7.
I think it is too. I think Golden State Houston will probably go 6, and Golden State will probably win it in 6. Milwaukee, Boston probably going 7. Philly, Toronto probably going 7. And then Portland, Denver, I think is still too early to tell. But I'd say it'll probably be around the 6 or 7 mark there too. But then again, it wouldn't surprise me if Golden State Houston went 5 either. So yeah, I mean, in my playoff bracket. Oh yeah, I never showed my playoff bracket. There you go. I haven't updated the highlights yet, but there you go. Okay. But I mean, see, that's the thing. I just enjoy the Stanley Cup playoffs so much more than the NBA playoffs.
Oh, I do too. I mean, it's much more watchable and
it's more exciting. It's not as predictable.
Yeah, you get those overtime games, man.
There's nothing like it. Yeah.
The drama, it really is. Yeah.
Especially this year, there were like 10 overtime games through the first round, and there weren't even 10 last year in the whole playoffs.
Yeah, you know those guys are out there about to drop dead. They're so tired.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I think this is a pretty good show. Pretty good episode. So, well, Cowboy, thank you for joining me tonight. Any last words?
Man. I enjoyed it. I appreciate it. You having me on.
All right, well, we'll see you guys in the next episode, which will probably be the PGA Championship preview here in a couple weeks. We might do one before then, but
sounds great. See you guys.
See y'all.